Did you know that your self-esteem holds a hidden power capable of transforming everything around you? When your inner energy is aligned, respect and confidence come effortlessly. Discover how the way you see yourself can attract the life you've always dreamed of. It's not about having a perfect image. It's about recognizing your worth and letting that shine through to the world. Get ready to activate the hidden power of self-esteem and transform your energy from the inside out. The way someone sees themselves silently shapes every interaction they have. People with strong self-esteem exude confidence without needing to say a word. It's something others pick up on in their posture, tone of voice, even in how they occupy a space. Jung used to say that we project onto the world what we carry inside, and this projection determines how we're treated. If someone sees themselves as inadequate, their energy reflects that belief, and the world responds accordingly, reinforcing the cycle. Have you noticed how some people walk into a room and automatically command respect? This isn't luck or chance. It's a direct reflection of how they see themselves. The world functions as a mirror of our internal perception. Someone who feels invisible is often ignored. Those who believe they are unworthy of love attract relationships that reinforce that pain. This happens because the human mind unconsciously seeks to confirm its own beliefs, even those that cause us suffering. But the good news is that this logic works in reverse too. When you build a positive self-image, everything around you begins to align with that new vibration. The question is, how do you change that internal perception? After all, it's not enough just to repeat positive affirmations in the mirror. It requires a deep change in the way your own worth is recognized. Self-esteem isn't just about feeling good. It's about transforming your own reality. If someone believes in their own value, it shows even in the way they walk, speak, and make decisions. Try observing how you present yourself to the world. Is your posture open or closed? Is your gaze confident or hesitant? Small details reveal a lot about how someone sees themselves, and this internal image directly influences the respect they receive from the world. But there's something even deeper to all of this, and Jung gives us clues about the true path to strengthen that inner foundation. Since time immemorial, humanity has sought to understand its true essence. Carl Jung called this inner wholeness the self, the unifying center of the psyche. When self-esteem is low, it's often because we've drifted away from this authentic core and began identifying only with fragments of our identity, those shaped by external opinions and painful experiences. The solution? Bring light to this disconnection. Start by observing your own patterns. Where do you feel inferior? In what moments do you doubt your own worth? These answers are clues to what needs to be reclaimed within you. The strengthening of self-esteem happens when a person begins to align with who they truly are, not with what the world expects of them. But let's face it, this process doesn't happen overnight. First, you need to undo layers of conditioning. A practical exercise is to write a letter to yourself, as if it were a wise friend giving you advice. What encouraging words would this wiser version of you use? This simple habit can help reframe your inner vision, because self-esteem is nothing more than a reflection of the relationship we have with ourselves. The big secret here is to understand that by integrating the self, your energy transforms. Self-confident people are not those who never make mistakes, but those who recognize their own value even in the face of flaws. True self-esteem is born when we stop seeking external validation and find a solid sense of identity within ourselves. But how do we walk this path without losing ourselves? This leads us to the next essential step on this journey: individuation. The journey of individuation is like a process of inner discovery. It's about shedding social masks and the patterns imposed by society to connect with the true essence that already resides within each of us. As Jung says, to individuate is to become what we truly are, without the limitations of what others expect from us or what we think we should be. As we walk this path, we leave behind the need to please others and begin to live more authentically. For example, when you decide to follow a career that truly makes you happy, instead of one that just meets external expectations, you are beginning this process of individuation, becoming more aligned with your true self. This process is not easy and involves a lot of reflection. Often, individuation leads us to confront hidden aspects of our personality, parts we'd rather ignore. But by recognizing and integrating these aspects, we achieve a healthier wholeness. It's like when someone allows themselves to be vulnerable and admits their flaws without fear of judgment. This creates space for deep self-awareness, where the fragmented parts of our psyche begin to unite. It's a challenging path, but one that is profoundly transformative, because authenticity gives us an unmatched sense of freedom, making our energy truer and more powerful. True authenticity, the result of individuation, also brings with it the confidence needed to generate respect in the external world. As we connect with our essence, we attract people and situations that align with this inner truth. This isn't selfishness, but a reconnection with who we truly are, without the filters of external influences. Imagine an artist who finally finds their true form of expression without worrying about pleasing the market or the audience. This is the power of individuation. As we become more authentic, we emit an energy that awakens respect and admiration from others effortlessly, simply through the coherence with our being. The self-image we carry within us is like a mirror that reflects who we are to the world. When we look in the mirror of our mind, what do we see? If the image we project is one of someone who doesn't value themselves or feels inferior, the world around us ends up reflecting that energy. As the law of the mirror suggests, what you believe to be true about yourself is directly reflected in the experiences you attract. For example, if someone constantly sees themselves as incapable, they are much more likely to attract situations that reinforce this belief. The way you see yourself can, and often will, define how others treat you. This doesn't mean that others have control over how you should feel, but that people unconsciously tend to mirror the energy we radiate. If you see yourself as someone deserving of respect and love, your natural energy will attract people who also see you that way. It's like when someone walks into a room with a confident posture without needing to say anything, but transmitting a sense of self-respect that spreads around. Interactions start to reflect that respect because, deep down, people recognize that you have a solid self-image. This can be noticed, for example, in situations where someone begins to be treated more assertively and respectfully after changing the way they perceive themselves. Changing this self-image is not a superficial thing, but rather an internal realignment. When you decide to change the way you see yourself, you naturally alter the energy you emit. It starts with small steps, like practicing gratitude for who you are and what you've achieved. This is a reflection of self-appreciation. Exercises like writing down your qualities or the moments you felt successful can help reinforce a positive image of yourself. Changing this internal energy not only alters how others perceive you, but also how you begin to behave in the face of life's opportunities and challenges. Archetypes, as universal behavioral models, have a profound impact on how we see ourselves and how others perceive us. They are patterns we all carry in our unconscious and manifest in different ways depending on the situation and the stage of life. When we talk about archetypes, we refer to figures such as the wise one, the hero, the healer, the sovereign, among others. The sovereign archetype, for example, represents self-confidence, authority, and respect. By embodying this archetype, you begin to project an energy of respect and control that automatically attracts the same attitudes from those around you. This is the power of presence. It's not about being the center of attention, but about radiating an energy of confidence and stability. When we identify with the sovereign archetype, we begin to emit a vibration that says, "I know my worth." This posture needs no words to be understood. It reflects in the way we walk, how we speak, and even how we handle challenges. When you begin to perceive yourself this way, your behavior changes and people naturally start to give you more respect. For example, in a work meeting, someone who presents themselves in a clear, confident, and respectful manner, without the need to be aggressive or imposing, tends to be listened to more attentively. This happens because the energy the person emanates is that of a leader, someone who knows their worth and doesn't need to prove anything. However, we are not always conscious of which archetype we are embodying. When we feel lost or insecure, we may end up identifying with more vulnerable archetypes, such as the victim or the servant. This can make our presence less impactful or even devalued by others. The secret then is to recognize which archetypes dominate our attitudes and, consciously, decide to align our presence with those that reinforce our self-esteem and attract the respect we deserve. If you begin to perceive yourself as someone worthy of being heard, admired, and respected, your energy will start to transform not only how you see yourself, but also how others interact with you. The collective unconscious, a concept developed by Carl Jung, carries the beliefs and values shared by all of humanity, often without our conscious awareness. These beliefs are culturally transmitted and deeply shape our perception of what is considered beautiful, successful, or valuable. When society places excessive value on appearance or status standards, many people find themselves in a constant struggle to fit these molds. This directly affects self-esteem as we compare ourselves to a collective ideal that is often unattainable. If we grew up in a culture that values power, wealth, or a specific physical appearance, we tend to internalize these beliefs as the only valid forms of success and self-worth. Understanding the collective unconscious and how it influences our self-image is an important step in building authentic self-esteem. By questioning these societal patterns, we can free ourselves from a superficial view of who we are. For example, if you were taught to believe that a person's worth is directly linked to how much they own, you might begin to question this belief and realize that your true wealth lies in the essence of who you are, not in the things you own. This process of questioning external influences is essential to reconnecting with your true identity, free from the filters and distortions of the collective unconscious. Liberating oneself from these social influences does not mean denying the culture we live in, but rather consciously choosing what resonates as truth for ourselves. When we can separate our identity from external standards, we begin to live more authentically and in tune with our true essence. This internal alignment generates stronger self-esteem, as it no longer depends on external opinions or validations. Self-worth comes from within, and this changes the way we relate to the world, attracting people and situations that reflect our true energy. The shadow, according to Carl Jung, consists of aspects of our personality that we do not accept or have repressed throughout our lives. These aspects can include negative traits such as anger or insecurity, but also positive qualities that, out of fear of not being accepted, we end up ignoring. Many of the blockages in our self-esteem come from this unrecognized shadow. For example, a person who constantly feels they are not good enough may actually be repressing a part of themselves that is extremely talented, but they fear standing out due to judgment from others. Recognizing and integrating these aspects of the shadow is essential for unlocking our true potential and increasing our self-esteem. When we make peace with our shadow, accepting its hidden parts and even transforming them, we begin to liberate ourselves from deep blockages that once limited us. This requires courage, as we often encounter aspects of ourselves that we would rather not see. However, true strength comes from the ability to look inward and accept all that we are without judgment. A practical example of this would be someone who fears public speaking. This fear may be rooted in a childhood experience where they were ridiculed. By confronting this shadow and allowing themselves to try again, this person might realize that the fear resides only in the unconscious and, when faced, dissolves. The liberation from internal blockages is also connected to our sense of self-worth. When we accept our totality, with both qualities and flaws, our self-esteem is genuinely strengthened. Instead of fighting against ourselves, we begin to act with greater freedom, creating a life that reflects our true essence. The respect we seek from others starts to emerge from within, as we begin to treat ourselves with the same acceptance and compassion we would like to receive. And as we integrate our shadow, the world around us begins to reflect us more positively. Relationships are powerful reflections of our self-image. What we allow in our interactions with others is directly linked to what we believe we deserve. If someone has a weak self-image or is filled with insecurities, they tend to accept behaviors that reinforce this negative view of themselves. For example, in a relationship where a person feels undervalued, they may repeatedly find themselves in situations where disrespect or lack of consideration becomes a pattern. This behavior becomes so common that the person often doesn't realize how much they are allowing themselves to be treated inadequately, because they have unconsciously accepted this type of treatment. When it comes to relationships, individuation, the process of becoming who we truly are, also plays a crucial role. As we get to know and accept ourselves completely, we begin to realize our worth, and with that, we change the patterns of relationships we attract. If someone starts to set clearer and healthier boundaries, relationships also tend to change. This can be done through small daily actions, such as saying no when something is uncomfortable or avoiding interactions with people who constantly disrespect our boundaries. The people who truly respect our value naturally begin to appear as our self-worth is reflected in our choices and attitudes. The change in behavior in relationships starts when we recognize that we are responsible for what we tolerate. Our self-esteem and the boundaries we set are not a matter of selfishness, but of self-respect. The key here is understanding that what we accept at the beginning of a relationship, whether it be a friendship, family, or even a romantic relationship, is a reflection of what we believe we deserve. Therefore, if someone is constantly allowing toxic or disrespectful relationships, the first step is to look inward. Understand the underlying beliefs that sustain this pattern, and with that, change the internal narrative. As behavior patterns change, the quality of relationships also transforms. The respect you attract starts with the respect you have for yourself, and this respect is not based on what you wear or what you do, but rather on the energy you emit. Imagine someone walking into a room and, without saying a word, everyone stops to pay attention. This type of presence is not the result of social status or appearance, but of unshakable confidence and inner security that everyone can feel. This is personal magnetism. When someone is truly aligned with who they are, their energy spreads and impacts others in a profound way. This personal magnetism has nothing to do with trying to please others or following a behavior pattern to be accepted. On the contrary, it comes from being authentic, from knowing oneself deeply, and from caring about what truly matters to oneself. A practical example of this is when you begin to make choices based on your own well-being and happiness, without worrying about the opinions of others. When you act with integrity and self-respect, the people around you begin to feel this and naturally start to respect you more, even without you needing to ask. Furthermore, respect is not something you need to force or demand. When you are aligned with your essence, respect shows up naturally. This is reflected in the way you position yourself in relationships, how you communicate, and even in your everyday actions. When you stop submitting or trying to please others, self-respect begins to manifest. From this place of authenticity, interactions become more sincere, and the people around you recognize your value in a way that doesn't depend on effort or manipulation. It's a natural consequence of living aligned with who you truly are. Daily rituals are one of the most powerful tools to strengthen self-esteem. This is because by including practices that connect you with your essence, your energy begins to realign in a positive way. Imagine waking up every day with the intention of taking care of yourself and reconnecting with who you truly are. This can be done through small practices like meditation, daily affirmations, or even moments of silence to reflect on your achievements and your worth. These rituals are not just tasks to fill your day, but rather ways to reinforce your self-image and confidence with each step. A simple example would be starting your day with a positive affirmation, like, "I am worthy of love and respect," or "I am capable of achieving my goals." This might seem simple, but the daily repetition of these words begins to transform your subconscious, making you internalize this message of self-valuation. Another powerful practice is visualization, where you imagine the best for yourself, creating a mental image of your outer success and happiness. These small actions, when carried out consistently, begin to create a mindset of abundance and self-respect that will reflect in your behavior and relationships. Over time, these practices become more than just habits. They start to become a part of who you are. They reinforce your sense of identity and strengthen your connection with your true self. To further enhance this ritual, set aside a moment at the end of the day to give thanks for everything you have achieved, no matter how small. This simple act of gratitude helps to close the cycle of the day positively and reinforces your self-esteem. Remember, self-esteem is not something that happens overnight, but rather something that is built every day through the small actions we take to take care of and respect ourselves. Now that you've delved into this powerful knowledge, it's time to apply everything you've learned. Imagine what your life would be like if you began to see yourself differently, aligning with your true self and recognizing the power that already exists within you. What would change in your relationships? What would change in your work, in your daily life? Reflecting on these questions is the first step toward real transformation. But the journey doesn't stop here. Self-esteem is an ongoing process, and each day is an opportunity to strengthen that bond with yourself. Don't forget to apply the practices we've discussed throughout the video and share your experiences in the comments. What challenges have you faced on your journey of self-discovery? How has your perception of yourself changed? Let's exchange ideas about this. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep learning more about how to strengthen your self-esteem and transform your life. And if you want to take the next step, click the link in the description and also watch our video on how the mind can be your ally in building a fulfilling life. Let's go together on this journey of self-discovery.